Alright, so I already have you zoomed in from the powder application. The next product is this eyeshadow palette right here. And what is this eyeshadow palette in comparison to? This is the Hard Candy eyeshadow palette in the shade All That Rose Gold. If I can find it, because I do have it. And I had it in my hand a few hours ago. It's right there. The Hard Candy eyeshadow palette, All That Rose Gold. This is, I bought this one at Dollarama, but this is normally $17 in the drugstore. This is $2 from Dollarama. And the only difference is there's not even really any difference. It's the mica that is very, very different. That completes a texture change. But I've studied it and the shade names are exactly the same. It's just based off of how I like to study my life cycle feature. This one talks about the people factor, and this one talks about the story factor to the people factor. And this is the people factor, and this is the shade 06 Sepia Grégis. 06 Sepia Grégis. Okay, so I'm gonna go from left to right and use all of the eyeshadows on my eye without having to go on my bottom eye to place any eyeshadow. So the first shade that I'm going to be going in with is the shade Double Date. And I'm going to be using this brush to apply the shade Double Date as the base shade to my eye. Okay, the shades are very, very powdery, but nothing that I can't deal with in the form of application. Okay? Now the next shade that I'm going to be going into is the shade Roses. And I am going to be applying the shade Roses in my crease. Okay, so that's the shade Roses in my crease and just a bit above my lid. And you're gonna see what the difference is when I say in my crease to just above my lids in a minute when I get to applying the third shade. Okay? But before I apply the third shade, which is First Date, I'm going to apply the fourth shade, which is Level Fair, and the fifth shade, which is Marry Up, which is the last shade. So let's go in and apply with the same brush the shade Love Affair. So let's fix that way, so that it's more comfortable in my hand. The shade Love Affair. Okay, and I am going to apply that on my outer area of my eye in a buffing circular motion. Completely different look that I went for last night, but it's telling the same story. The shade is absolutely telling the same story, and that's what you want. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people use a human face as a punching bag because mine was used as a punching bag in 2023 in order to tell their story. I don't use a human's face as a punching bag to tell the story. I use my face in the form of color to tell my story. That's how I tell my story. In the form of color and makeup with my skin. Going in with the shade Marry Up. And I am going to put that in 2 portions of my eye. I'm going to put Marry Up right underneath my brows to brighten up my brows so my brows doesn't look so dull and so flat. Okay? And then I'm also going to put Marry Up in the inner corner of my eye. Marry Up is that yellow shade. This is the shade Marry Up. This is the shade Marry Up, and that's the yellow shade. Okay, so now we're going to go back into the shade Marry Up. Okay, and I am going to put the shade Marry Up in the inner corner of my eye. Okay, let's put the shade Marry Up once again on this side in the inner corner of my eye. Alright, now we did not go into the 3rd shade, which is First Date, but we're about to go into the 3rd shade, which is First Date, and we're gonna go into the depth of the crease with First Date in order to seal the packaging. The depth of the crease with First Shade to seal the packaging. So this is my outer crease where I put the other shade earlier. This is the depth of my inner crease. This is the depth. And because I have hooded eyes, I have to lift my brows all the way up in order to get that depth properly. See that? And therefore, we've now sealed the packaging ready for delivery when the payment has been made in full. Okay, and this is this entire eyeshadow palette from Viva Color on my eyes, nothing on my bottom eyes at all, in the shade 06 Sepia Grezzy. That is it on my eyes, right there. No concealer used, as you can see, and very pigmented upon application. No complaints. I can see what I'm looking for, which is the pigmentation to that of the eyeshadow. So, once again, dollar store, $2, A+ product. $2.